Welcome back to the CrossFit Games podcast. I'm your host, Chase Ingraham. With me is Adrian Bozman, and we are going to go through the 2022 age group teenager division. We just talked about the Masters division. And as we've had with individuals, teams, and age group Masters, we are still looking at that continuity across the board in multiple divisions, but specifically with the teenagers getting set for this year's CrossFit Games season.
Yeah, you got it. And like we talked about earlier, it's really important that we have a clear path for everybody from the open to winning the CrossFit Games. You know, whether or not you can walk that path is another story, but it should be pretty obvious to people that want to compete in the sport and spectators, fans, that sort of thing, to have a pretty easily identifiable season. And part of that was starting to amend the different divisions to have a more similar path. So the teenage athletes this year are going to see that happen, just like the age group Masters, where it's going to be very similar in layout to the individuals, where you've got the Open, then the quarterfinals, then semifinals, and then the games.
Before we even get into the season, is that, say 5-6 years ago when the teenage division really came to be, it was like, oh, that's cool. They get to do, that's cool. You let them play, they get a place at the table. And now we have the Mal O'Briens, the Emma Careys, the Emma Lawsons, the Kirkstead. Like, what has it been for you seeing this teenage division just exploding into the individual side of the competition?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I think about it in a few different ways. Number one, it's like looking into the future. I see athletes that are coming up through those divisions, and I think to myself, okay, a couple of years, I'm going to be seeing them on the big stage if they choose to keep it up. So that's pretty cool and pretty exciting to get a window into the future of the sport, so to speak. And then I also think just on a practical level, growing up, and I never really played a lot of traditional team sports. It wasn't really interesting to me. But certainly nothing like CrossFit existed. And I'm so curious as to what could have been. What if I had fallen into something like that and had the opportunity to pursue it, and all the positive benefits that come from not only competition, but the healthy lifestyle that you can create around that at a young age. So it's really cool to see the expression of that grow and flourish. And it's important to us to help foster that for where we can.
Absolutely. And I think foster is a great word because, oftentimes as youth athletes, and we see this in more of the major sports, is so much emphasis on performance versus like, hey, let's just be kids and play. Like, let's play this game. Because we're teenagers. We're 13, 14, 15, up to 17. And even when you get to 18, you're still a child. Like, I don't care what your legal document says, like, you're still a kid, right? But it's been really, really cool to see. And I feel like over the last couple of years, it has just taken off to another level.
Absolutely.
And it's gone from, oh, that's cool, look what they can do, to like, I need to watch my back. Like, that's it's been pretty fun. And as we look into the season itself,
the heat, old man,
it's like I don't even have to worry about that anymore. It's like, yep, you beat me. Congratulations. Now, if this was 5 years ago, my ego would have much bigger problem than now. But that is definitely deflated in my later years. But like we said before, is they're going to follow the same format. So you register for the Open, you designate obviously your birth date, that puts you in your category. Now, there's 2 teen categories that we've had over the past few years, and that's 14 to 15 and then 16 to 17. Is that still the same thing going into this year?
Yep, still same 2 divisions that we've had. So just like you said, 14 to 15 is one, and then 16 to 17. And they're going to follow that same season path as the older age groups through those 4 stages of the season. So the big addition this year is the semifinal that's going to happen online. And to your point about there being so much more depth of competition within these divisions, that's part of the reason it was a no-brainer for us to add that additional competition. These athletes really do need more opportunities to separate themselves, and for us to have confidence that we have the fittest coming into the games. And so with the depth that's emerging out of these divisions, it was like, yeah, of course they should have more opportunity to show us what they got and further separate themselves.
Now, the Open format is when they do their Open format, and then they advance to the quarterfinals. For the age group Masters, it was top 10% in your division worldwide advances into the quarterfinals. Will that be the same thing for the teenagers?
Yes, same format for the teenagers. So 10%, the top 10% coming out of the open in those age categories will move on to the quarters. So it doesn't matter where you happen to be on the earth. If you're a 14 or 15-year-old athlete, or then a 16 to 17-year-old athlete, and you make that top 10% cut, you'll be invited to the quarterfinal competition.
And in that quarterfinal, since they are spread out over 3 weekends between indie, team, and teenagers, is, as we said before, is that if you have the athletic prowess to be able to compete in all 3, they will have that opportunity in the quarterfinals to dabble in each one. It's like, all right, say, I can qualify to a semi individually. I hop on a team and get them there, and then I move to age group just because I want to feel like Godzilla in Tokyo. Maybe that's the idea of what they're doing, but they will have an opportunity in the quarter setting, just like the Masters age groupers did.
That's right. So it is possible for athletes in the in some of those age categories to qualify for multiple divisions at the quarters. And if that is the case, that you qualify into let's say the team competition and the age group competition, or the individual competition and the age group competition, number one, awesome job. That's no small thing to do. But number two, you have the opportunity to compete in those competitions that you qualify for, and they're spaced out along the calendar that you should have the opportunity to do that as well. When you move to the semis, that's when we're going to make athletes decide. They have to effectively plant a flag and declare which division they want to compete at, if they are still qualifying into multiple divisions at that time.
And that's a really big difference than we've had all the way up to last year, because the way the season structure went between semifinals and, say, the age group online qualifier, is that there were athletes that could, say, compete in their semifinal, try to make it as an individual, and still have a weekend available to do an age group online qualifier with 2 prongs to try to get to the CrossFit Games. You're saying prior to the semifinal weekend, for both individual and masters, because that is the new addition to the season, you're going to only be able to choose one. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So the easiest way to think about it is quarterfinals. If I qualify in multiple divisions, I can compete in multiple divisions. If I'm still in the same boat when I get to semis, I have to choose one. It's just that simple.
I love it. Just put all your eggs in one basket and try to get there.
That's right. Yep.
And I think, we talked about as like maybe some masters athletes could have an ability to either not only make semifinals, but possibly the CrossFit Games out of a semifinal on the individual side, as well as maybe make it on the master's side. I feel like, and we touched on this at the very beginning, I think there's more athletes on the teen side that have to make a hard decision of which way to go.
Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible that you're going to have to choose your season at that point, and we're comfortable with that. It's one more reason that I think adding another layer of competition is important, so that even if you have to make that decision, you've got some opportunity to compete in your other divisions that you qualified for. So it should be good.
Now, for the age group masters, we had the top 10% worldwide in your age division advance to the quarters. And from these 2 divisions in the teenagers, which is 14 to 15 and 16 to 17, it's the same top 10%. You took 30 on the age group masters. Will you guys be taking the same amount for the teenagers?
Yep, you got it. So from the quarters to the semis, it's going to be 30 athletes that advance. So best 30 in those divisions are going to head to the semis. And again, it has nothing to do with geographical location and everything to do with just the age category that you're in. So top 14 and 15-year-olds, top 16 and 17-year-olds, those 30 from each division are going to be at the semis.
So the top 30 advance forward. Now, in your masters age groupers, you had them on 2 separate weekends between the 35 to 49 and then 50 to 65 plus. How are you guys setting that up for these 2 divisions between the 14, 15 and 16, 17?
So for the teenagers, they are all going to compete on the weekend of May 26th to May 29th. And that will be in tandem with some of the masters categories, the 35 to 49-year-old divisions. So the age groupers have been split into 2 chunks for the semis. Effectively, it's kind of the younger divisions on the first weekend and then the older divisions on the second weekend. And we wanted to make sure that we had a couple of things taken care of with that division. Number one, as a fan of the sport, it's really difficult sometimes if you're trying to take all the information in. There's 9 age divisions competing all at once, in addition to some of the live semifinals going on. I mean, that's just a lot of information to process in a single competition weekend. So to make it easier for people following the sport, we wanted to create some division there. We also wanted to create some ease for the team, if I'm totally honest about it. It's really important to us at that semifinal stage that resolution of the competition can happen really accurately and really quickly, especially with the tight turnaround from there to the games. We want to let those athletes know as soon as possible that, like, yep, you're a lock, start training. I mean, or continue training, I guess I should say, and we'll see you in Madison. So we want to make sure that we're giving our team the best shot at a fast, accurate resolution for those athletes that have earned it.
You mentioned doing your team a favor, and I'm going to throw a question out there. I think it's going to be fun. Is we joked around with the Masters athletes as far as like videos as submissions and the difficulty there. And, it's funny is like we can learn a lot from our youth, and how to actually use a cell phone seems to be one of those. But between the 4 categories of individual, team, masters, and teens, rank them best to worst as far as video submission quality.
Oh boy, don't put me on the spot like that. I can't.
We'll say best to could be better.
Let's just say that there's one category that stands out as being a little bit more savvy, and we'll leave it at that.
I've been in a gym long enough that we have parents competing alongside their young teens, and they're like, "Will you just get over here and set it up for me and just tell me when it can go?" So I think we can probably all agree is just do it for me. I can't figure this thing out. But okay, so that's the semifinals where the top 30 come out of the quarterfinals. So we'll be competing on that first weekend with the younger age division split. Now the top 10 advanced in the Masters division. Are you guys going to stick with that for the teen division going to the CrossFit Games?
Yes, sir. That is the intent for the 2022 season. We're going to take the top 10 teenage athletes from both of those divisions, and they get the ticket to Madison. So just like the older age group categories, it's going to be the best 10 out of your division. Again, nothing to do with geography and everything to do with your age category. So top 10 move on. And, through those 3 stages of competition that we see across such a long time frame over the season, it's going to give us a really high confidence that those are the fittest athletes that season.
And we earmark the dates in that first week of August, that Wednesday to Sunday. More details will come out specifically when certain divisions will be competing during that time block. But we just say bookmark it because you're going to want to watch it anyways, whether you're competing on Wednesday or through Sunday. Is there anything unique to the teenager division versus the other ones that they should know going into the season?
No, again, it's the teenagers are going to mirror pretty closely the other age categories, so nothing exclusive to the teenage categories. But again, like all divisions, I just want to highlight how we approach that season and think about it. At the open, you've got this big funnel. There's lots of opportunity for you to redo workouts and kind of, choose your time of day, choose your setting, choose the music you've got on the stereo. I think I dated myself with that term right there. Who listens to a stereo?
What is that?
But you get the idea. You've got a lot of choice during the open and a lot of time. As the season progresses, that is going to compound at every step of the way. So the quarterfinals, there's a few decisions that are taken out of your hands now. You're going to be given the workouts. You're going to get all the workouts on the Thursday, and there's going to be certain time stamps over the course of the competition that you have to submit your results by for specific workouts. So there'll still be some choice as to when you can do those some of those workouts, as long as you get them in by the deadlines. You'll still have some opportunity to redo some of those workouts. And then when we get to the semis, we learned from doing the online semis with the individuals last year how to make some pretty good time gating so that there's a little bit more pressure on the athletes to perform and discourage them from redoing the workouts incessantly. So, and then that's going to continue to compound as you get to the games. Obviously, the games is the big pressure cooker, and it's you got to show up and perform. There's no opportunity there to have a redo. That just means the other competitors are happy if you're experiencing a workout like that. So anyway, to think about it as a whole, we've got that big funnel up front, and it gets really narrow as we approach the games, and that's by design. And each stage of competition is going to reflect that in a couple of different ways.
And if you are one of those athletes that have those games goals and aspirations, is that, look, it's time to start looking at your season now. Know when it is the open starts, those 3 weekends, when the due dates will be. It's released out there for the quarterfinal dates, when your semifinal will be, and obviously when the CrossFit Games will be. All that information is out there. If you just go to games.crossfit.com and plan your season out, right? No excuses now. We're giving the information up front so we can be better prepared on the back end. But again, a nice change to the season to align with what we've had on the individual side. I think it's a really cool setup that we have coming on. And I'm just getting more and more excited about the Open, maybe not doing the Open, but about the Open in general. But I am signed up and ready to get my teeth kicked in come February. So that was your teenager division. As we advance more in these episodes, we will visit the adaptive division and the occupational games. For Chasing them, Adrian Bozman. We'll see you guys next time.